All right. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Oh, that's fun. Yep, we're going to start with the pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, roll call, Mark Evans, here.
Atkinson, Cindy Larson.
Bruce Black.
Okay, let it show that we do have a quorum. I'd like Susan Atkinson to introduce herself as the newest member of our group. She hasn't been here yet, so.
Here I am.
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm relatively new to the community and I have some history with gardening and landscaping. And I met Mark last year. And I was looking for a way to contribute, and I thought that would be a good place to start. And so, Brian, be helpful. Welcome. Thank you.
All right,
What area do you live in?
Karina.
we now have room for public comment. Is there anything for the public?
Gary Schiller, I live in Cameroon. I've lived here 10 years. And I'm trying to go to as many of these meetings as I can, because if I can, to get more knowledge. That's it.
Thank you. Artie?
Marty Dave himself and Pete Patrick. I just have a question. Are we in the right season now?
You're on the edge. This is the transition.
I'm just wondering, when are we gonna start painting the monument?
We'll have to talk to the CVB and see. Well, there is a process. We get approximately 40 hours a week. But we share that with safety and security, and we share it with ponds. And whatever the highest priority thing at the time is, that's what we obviously want to work on. And obviously, if we have a safety and security issue that's a high priority, that's where we want to spend their times. But we were painting monuments when it got just too wet to really do it efficiently. We did stop, so.
And the other consideration, Marty, was we realized we needed to fix the irrigation first, so we don't paint them on and then re-irrigate it state. So we're transitioning that, and when that started, then we realized that we need to do the lighting, get away from the old lights, and get LED. So there is a sequence that's being followed up by painting the wall. We'll get it.
Anybody want agendas?
What is the status of the direct lines? And if it's not completed, when will it be?
They're done.
They're all done.
Done, they're invoiced, and.
They're noticeable if you look.
Second question I have says the maintenance team aware of doing signs, for example, the one on the show and it's a street limit sign.
But a physical sign like stops or.
Yeah.
That would go to safety.
So would this be the proper time? This Bruce Black,
This is for public.
okay. I'll bring it up later.
All right.
Jennifer Niesenoff. And her contact information as the chair, just like all, is on the district's website. You said the street sign that was peeling was the 15-mile-an-hour one coming in? Is that the only one?
No,
As I saw it coming in this morning, so, all right.
Public comment.
Well, the last one for that is on the map, the GIS map, all the signs are listed and numbered. That's all.
I have no idea.
They're all over, so you don't have to guess which sign I'm complaining about. You can look at it and identify it specifically. That's why same thing with all the light poles, they're all.
34.
Okay. Next up, approval of minutes, August 22nd meeting. You have those.
Yes. Ooh, sorry.
Do we have any comment on the minutes? If not, do we have a motion to approve?
Waterston, motion to approve.
Bruce Glad, second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Unanimously approved.
For how many members you have?
Okay.
4-0. And that was both? You just did the first one or you did both at the same time?
Well, September 26th.
Okay.
I have a motion to approve those minutes.
Cindy Waterston, motion to approve.
A
Okay.
second. I'm sorry, Bruce Glad, second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Yeah.
Aye. Motion passes 4-0. All right, financial report. Have not received the current financials. It probably hasn't changed a whole lot since, well, we are starting a new season. We had money left over. The hurricane so far has cost approximately $12,000 for cleanup, et cetera, staking of trees. We do have a part of one invoice that, as far as I know, it's in question where they charged us $3,000 for dumping when they're just supposed to put it at the Brocky Center. So I'm not sure where we are.
Staff's looking into that.
Do we not have a spot?
No, it's not attached.
Okay, I've got, I'll give it to you verbally, as of September 30th, unaudited. State the landscape has spent $722,759. That's actual. The remaining balance of $288,241. It's as of September 30th, unaudited.
So those funds will roll over into an account to be available for us if necessary this fiscal year.
And money will still come out as invoices coming in.
This is Bruce Glad. I did my ride around through old common areas. It seems like all work is completed as far as uprighting and staking trees. I haven't seen any
Yeah.
veterans in place.
They
So
should
it
have,
looks like it's completed.
it is supposed to be done, and we were invoiced for it,
So it
so,
was last week. It was
Yeah.
done.
okay. Anything else on the financial report? Okay,
So we won't have year-end numbers. We have rough unaudited year-end numbers. I know everybody's asking, what's the rollover? What's the rollover? We won't have that until, we won't have the true final number until the auditor completes their job. Because we have invoices still rolling in from last fiscal year that we have to
We won't
pay.
get that for January.
March is what we put in the contract for. We are. That is an improvement from last year. So in the new contract, we're putting that on the auditor at a specific deadline.
It's all good news. It's
Yeah.
not good.
Correct.
as long as you tell us we can still spend money.
You can still spend money.
Well, now you're in the new year. Whole new kid.
New budget.
New budget.
All right, first item for discussion, appoint
The chair.
a chair. And do the landscaping subcommittee.
Cindy Waterston, we did approve things.
No, chair.
Vice.
Oh,
He was vice
she's
chair.
vice
Are
chair.
you wanting to appoint this chair?
Or
In
continue.
all honesty, my vote was this Bruce, keep Mark in that position. I think his expertise is over and above any of ours as far as plan selection. He certainly knows a lot more than I did. Or ever did, I should say. So if Mark is willing, I think we should consider Mark again to continue sharing.
You making a motion?
If I can, I don't like to make a motion if Mark is willing to continue being the chair of this committee.
Just drop you as well.
I'll second the motion to continue with Mark.
All in favor? So if I abstained,
You can abstain.
motion passes 4-0.
You just got voluntold.
You had no choice.
All
Good
right,
job.
next up, professional services agreement, Passarella and Geographic Information System. This is something we do every year. They update our GIS for us. They also do safety and security and maybe ponds. But as a formality, we need to approve these funds for them.
I was reading the detail. What exactly is the GIS? I didn't know what that meant.
That's the back.
Oh, that's what.
So
All the mapping.
Gotcha.
anytime we
G is
identify
for global.
geographic
Oh,
geographic information systems. So
Thank you.
as you all come up with things, we've been trying to clean up the monuments. We finished landscaping last year. We want to get Passarella to basically codify that and put it on a map so everybody can see it. Any things that are one-offs that come up later on, you guys are going to discuss, you know, your zones. If you want a specific layer for zones, we would ask Passarella to do that. So that it's kind of a catch-all for things that if the group identifies throughout the year, we have the funds and authority to tell Passarella to make that happen.
And as a community, it's probably, we've not done a really good job. It's available to all of our residents. Need to improve that. So everyone can have access to this and look at it anytime.
It's on our district, it's on our district website.
It's all there. We have not educated to the benefits of it.
This Bruce, again, just recently I attended my own HOA meeting, their budget meeting this past Tuesday. There was some discussion about common areas of what Gateway was responsible for. And the president of my HOA had no clue that some of the areas within our HOA was their responsibility. So I think it's important that at the next president's meeting, that they're all made aware of the map where it's located. And Bob just informed me that there is a map that could be provided for any HOA's use at their meeting. So that could be helpful and get rid of some of the gray areas.
So Mark, if you look on here, this is, I want to view Pelican Preserve GIS. It's right on our main website for anybody who's interested. Okay. Yep, you go on our district website and you click I want to, and then view Pelican Preserve GIS.
If you do that, you can spend 3 or 4 hours looking.
Yeah.
And it's clearly defines a lot, which is really helpful.
All right,
So make a motion.
I need a motion.
Oh, motion to approve.
Cindy Watterson, second the motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. Next up, monument lighting system procurement, where we are in this. Daniel had previously procured lighting supplies for the conversion of the monument lighting to LED. They have burned through all the supplies
No pun intended.
that he had procured, and so now he wants to finish up the project, which I would highly appreciate. And so they are asking for an amount of $26.54 to finish up the LED light monuments. Any questions on that?
I would make this Bruce, I'd make a motion not to exceed $3,000 towards the purchase.
Cindy Watterson, second the motion.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes 4-0.
Thank you.
Next up, convert irrigation 38 monuments drip system. It's done. It's approximately $17,100. You will see the drip system on top of the ground. The thought is the next time they mulch with pine straw, it'll then be underneath pine straw and not this obvious to everyone.
Cindy Watterson, quick question. Is it on the schedule?
It's on the same schedule it always was.
Because I've been checking our monument to see when is it coming on. I haven't seen it yet, so.
It-
I'm just listening. Okay.
Everything is hopefully working correctly.
So you're looking for a ratification of this from the committee of work that's already been performed. Yeah, it's already, I mean,
Cindy Watterson, motion to convert irrigation on 38 monuments to the drip system. Second.
Second.
Bruce Black seconds.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0. Pelican Preserve American Flag Responsibility.
you want me to take this one?
Sure.
Yep. So this came up over the course of the last year. Chelsea Riley, district manager. During the storm, Annabelle had reached out and said, hey, the flags out front are, you know, the wind's flipping. You send somebody over to take them down. One of the flags is not the district flag. It's a Pelican flag. I think there's 3 out front. Correct me if I'm wrong. So four. Okay. So part of this is taking some responsibility from this committee. If you want to designate somebody to take those flags down when required. Or we can spend staff time 20 minutes driving over to take down the flags and drive 20 minutes back.
Last question. Wouldn't that fall or wouldn't it be more efficient for someone from the gatehouse to do that?
That would be a contracted service through Wiser, and we would have to amend that contract to include those duties.
Another question I have. How does that fall into?
You weren't here.
I'm just curious.
Well, so I suggested this go in front of landscaping. You guys have all of the landscaping around these poles. I don't think it's a safety and security aspect, and I don't think it falls under ponds. So unfortunately, you guys are catch-all for everything else. So ultimately, looking for your direction. If you want staff to handle it, staff can handle it, but that's why we brought it in front of the committee. So
Yes.
in case you have somebody that's designated that wants to be responsible for these. Yeah, we could consider that as part of finalizing the post orders later. And if, Wiser is willing and able to do that, yeah, I don't see how that would be an issue. But ultimately, I wanted the input from the committee on how to proceed.
This is Mark, and to me, it makes the most sense for safety and security since they're right there. Could you please investigate that and see what that would take? If it's an act of God, then we'll figure out a way to do it. But if safety and security can take that part on without too much difficulty.
I think that was a good point that Ed brought up. We haven't finalized the post orders for the new contract, so maybe that's an opportunity to squeeze that in. Yeah.
Whatever they do.
Just add those.
Good point. All right, we can talk about that later. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Jim Rowland, you're the PPCA liaison. Who takes care of the two poles at town center?
Not-
Oh, so I'm just wondering if there's somebody going out to take care of those. I don't want to make it complicated, but
We own the poles. We found that out. We own the poles out front. So ultimately they're district responsibility. So, but fortunately, we're thankful the maintenance man from Pelican took the flags down in the storm, but was unwilling to put them back up. So we had to have staff come over and put them back up.
Just so you listen, Bruce, just as of yesterday, the poles in town said they still did not have the flags back up. There seems to be some kind of lapse. The flags were put up in the front sometime between Monday and yesterday.
Yeah.
But the flag, the town center, so I don't know if the efficiency is there. I think town center, you could go with the bare poles temporarily, but I think it needs something to be desired if the poles are sitting empty for weeks on end.
We did have damage from the storm to the pole, so we had to call out a vendor and obviously, realizing that the ones out front are district assets, we have to get a maintenance contract on that and get them inspected once a year, but we will bring that up with the safety and security.
Good morning. Good morning. This is Sherry Briscoe.
Hold on, Sherry. Do you want to take Sherry first?
Sure.
Okay, go ahead, Sherry.
Good morning. Sorry I'm not there to join you all. I am here in Pittsburgh with my parents. I have a question. Who has been taking care of the flags previously? Like in Ian, who took them down and put them back up? Who had the previous responsibility?
That was because I believe the O&M agreement was in place at the time. The HOA was doing it on behalf of the district. And so because the O&M agreement went away, the HOA's responsibility to those district assets went away.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
My question is, who puts the flag, sorry, Susan Atkinson, who puts the flags out for, holidays? And I just wondered, is there, an organization, that might be willing to take that on as part of their duties to the community.
That was part of the reason why we had the conversation here today, to bring that up and see what their district assets. So no matter what, their district responsibilities, I think, like Ed suggested, pushing that to safety and security and seeing if Wiser is able to do that. I think that's probably the most efficient. And then that way they can notify us of any tattered flags. The Pelican flag is purchased by the HOA. And they do supply that to us, so we notify them when that's damaged, but the other flags are the districts that we
I
pay.
think Daniel was purchasing flags recently.
Yes.
This is Sharon again.
Sorry, Jim Bollinger.
Hold on, Sherry.
So who maintains the inventory of those Pelican flags? I mean, you actually have them, or
No. You order
Give
them.
us one.
so somebody at PPCA has them?
Yes. Yes. We notify Annabelle when that flag is tattered or damaged. And then she just orders. Sherry, go ahead, Marks.
Okay, thank you. Another question. So we have to really remember that it's going to have to be a full-time resident if we do, want a committee or someone to take care of it. And you do have to remember when hurricanes come around, people just sort of, go into a mode of being frantic. And that's going to be the last thing they're going to think about is taking them. So I think being the security guards at the front, giving them the full responsibility, having it in their contract would be my vote to do this. Takes the responsibility off of an individual resident or a group of residents.
All right. And it's not just, hurricanes. It's, we get the notifications of putting in a half mast. We need to make sure that we follow those as well. So,
And some people are not in town. I mean, cruises, you know what I mean? I think
Okay.
the responsibility should lie at the front gate.
all right.
Thank you.
Okay, so Chelsea will follow up on that, safety and security and.
Yep.
Back to us when we know more about that. Stone standing around Pelican Reserve entrance sign. Who can take the lead on that?
I do have a comment on that.
Okay,
I did take a look at all the quotes, and I was a little confused because some of the quotes was just cleaning and sealing, and some of the quotes was cleaning and staining. So I don't know if everybody had a chance to look at that, but I wanted to bring that to all your attention.
This is Sherry again. Is the staining permanent? Can it be restained in a couple
it's
years?
supposed to. Did Nathan do the investigation on that?
Nathan did.
And this is Bruce, and in these quotes, which I had looked, it's just, is it stained to match the colors, or is it a sealant? That's another thing I wasn't clear on based on what I read. Yeah,
I would hope it would be colored, otherwise there's.
it almost looked like it was clear sealed, like you would do
Right.
decking,
There were one or two that said staining
This,
would indicate a color, but the ones that
The-
just said,
the quote says the color will be clear for the
Yeah.
Serta one, which is what staff's
Oh.
recommending. If you wish it to be of color, then we'll have to go back and see if they can do it of color.
We do wish it to be a color because that's the complaint that we're getting right now.
exactly.
The color doesn't match.
Okay.
there is at least one quote in there.
I mean, we can look to go with one of those vendors instead if you wish to try it. To answer Sherry's question, I don't know that any paint is permanent. I've
Well-
never experienced any permanent paint, so.
But this is staining, so that concerns me.
Mhm.
A staining, I would assume, is a different application. And if the stone is porous and the stain goes in, it might be permanent. So my concern is if we decide to change the colors in 7-8 years, is this the permanent color we have to deal with, or is it something we can change at that time? I'm just looking future.
Just reviewed them again, this spruce, it just seems like it's all urethane film. I don't see any that even talk about anything different.
This is Mark. I think what we're really looking for is staining to match the colors that we have chosen.
Okay.
So I would ask Nathan to revisit that to see if we can't get a staining to match the colors and not just a sealant.
Okay, and if we're unsuccessful with the staining, do you want to replace them? Do you want to get an estimate on, or just leave them as is?
I think at this point, leave them as is. We can investigate that further
Okay.
another time, but I think you're almost replacing the monument. You try to replace all that there.
Exactly.
Using teeth and stain. Right. I'm
And
just
that's what I'm in
saying.
hopes that we can
Right.
work towards.
Use the right primer, I would believe.
Correct.
I'm in hopes that they can be cleaned, primed, stained, sealed, and then we can move on. And only 25% of the community will be upset with somebody.
Nancy, while we're here, I was wondering if the committee is aware that since the town center monument and the golf course monument have been, that have been finished, that there is once again rust stains on both of them, and I wondered if you guys were going to do anything about that.
Yeah, we're looking.
That was good.
They did not do a drip system on those. So we'll have to investigate that further.
Yeah, because, this is very, that's one thing I was going to bring up is that it's obvious it was painted, the town center, and the stain is back. So will we be able to get it repainted or touched up? Because it really looks like nothing was done after the effort was there.
There is a, Nancy, I'm sorry, there's a product that called rust off, right? That would be.
Yeah, they do.
Just to rectify that, because it looks like it never was done,
Well, at this point,
unfortunately.
I'll contact Ameriscape and ask them for a proposal to change the irrigation so it's no longer correcting. So we can, I want to correct that before we do anything as far as color.
Nathan just replied to me and he said no one recommended staining, only clear coat, and nobody wanted to paint. So that's, I mean, we can go down and ask them to stain them, but totally your purview.
This is Mark. Nancy, you look over what's your opinion? Okay.
So you want staff to continue to reach out to alternative companies?
For the purpose of staining the fabric.
Staining to match existing color. Okay. Got it. All right, will do.
All right, areas of inspection responsibility by committee members.
Getting there, I'm scrolling.
This is something that Sherry has worked on.
So I put 2 maps in here. I didn't know which one you wanted. I had this one, which is like a GIS one. And then I have your landscape map if you want to, it's huge. So to zoom in.
So, I'm sorry, I had to run out of town. My mom has surgery, and I haven't really been able to finalize the presentation. Can we please table this conversation to next month? I'm thinking about flying home Saturday night. I have another family emergency in Fort Myers. So, is that something we could table, Mark?
Yes.
Okay, that would
This
be, I do have a presentation. I have the sections all lined out, and it's pretty detailed. So I would like to present it to the committee at the November meeting.
Okay.
All right, Sherry, just to remind anybody, if you have any agenda items that you would like to get on the next meeting's agenda, you have to get those to staff a week in advance of the agenda of the actual meeting. Otherwise, it won't make it in the packet.
Correct. That's totally fine. Thank you.
This is Bruce. Sherry, before you go any further with your presentation, I just want to suggest something that none of us get a zone that covers our own home. Just to give us a taste of other parts of the community and not focus your energy just on your own property. I think it makes us look a little more transparent and gives us more of a taste of what goes on. Because until I joined this committee, I didn't know half this place existed. You know, the monuments hidden in the different subdivisions. So if that's something you could consider, Sherry, is, for example, don't give me Matarita too.
Correct. And I have,
Okay.
I have placed that into the PowerPoint presentation stating that exactly my feelings 100%. I just did zones. Nobody's assigned to a zone. I figured
Okay.
the committee could talk about it and see who wants what zone, but that is definitely in there that the committee member is not allowed to have responsibility for their own area of the neighborhood. So I agree. And there's a couple other things in there. And again, it's just my thoughts and ideas that I put together in the presentation. And, anything could be striked or added. It's just a draft.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank
All
you.
right, so we will table G at this point, and Sherry will resubmit it for the agenda of November.
One other comment, if I could, Bob, Jeffrey again. What Ponds has done on something like this, the group establishes zones. Doesn't mean all of you have to have a zone. You could have other members that aren't core members of the
Right.
group. The volunteer step up and do it. Just don't think everything has to be on your wagon.
Good idea.
All right, last, everybody's favorite topic, the contract. Need to finish this up so it can go out for a bid.
This is Bruce. I used to specialize in this in my previous life, overseeing, bidding for contracts in different areas. I was reading some of the Florida statutes. So Chelsea, are there 3 people reviewing the bids? That's number 1, when they're open.
No,
Who does?
this committee.
Oh, we
This-
do it ourselves.
This committee, this committee will take your landscape committee hat off and you'll put on a selection advisory committee hat. And so the members of this committee, as well as one staff person, and I think we discussed at the last meeting, a designated rep of the community association, to be on the selection committee. So you can't speak to one another. Once it goes out on the street, you're under the cone of silence. Everybody's under the cone of silence. Any questions that any vendors have must be submitted to our contracts manager. He will work with myself and Daniel on answering any questions that we have. If not, we'll turn to Mark, and if there's specific questions about the landscaping. Once the bids are received, Randy will disseminate to you all the criteria, which will go on later in this bid package. You guys get to say exactly how you want to grade these people. Is it experience? Is it pricing? And you can weight each category differently. You'll convene at the district office. It'll be a public meeting. You'll go over your rankings. We'll compile them. Ultimately you'll make a recommendation. What we can do is, immediately thereafter that selection advisory committee, we can have a landscape subcommittee meeting. And you guys make the recommendation to PPAC, and then PPAC to the board, and then the contract's approved and awarded.
Bruce again. In the past, have we ever reached a stage where we negotiate the contract, renegotiate, not just accept what's in writing, but actually sit down with the vendor and say, we like what you're offering, and you drop it 10,000? Has there ever been negotiations after?
No, not typically, because we don't typically do that, because what their proposal is, you're evaluating all of the options that they've provided, and there's not the opportunity to say, hey, knock this off 20K or knock this off, because then if you're not, you're not providing the opportunity, you're not providing that same opportunity to all of the vendors. Now, under an RFQ, which is a request for qualifications, you judge their qualifications, you determined if they're qualified, and then you negotiate price. That's the only time really you negotiate anything, is hourly rates on an RFQ. But on an RFP, they provide a price proposal, you evaluate it, review it, rank the different companies, and then go
The
from there.
reason I bring it, example, Ameriscape, they promised us, we put it into the contract this time, but we had a problem with the soiling of the roadway in Prado, on the common area of Prado. And they said they would purchase the mats where they stage their equipment. Never saw those mats. Now they don't stage there anymore. Now they're staging on cycles. Same staining problem now again. So, for example, let's, use them as the example. It could say in the contract, because I know it was brought up when we were reviewing the contract for last meetings. How do we make sure they're aware of everything?
You put it right in here.
Then the contract.
There's other things in the contract they don't adhere to also, so I guess we'll have to do another review.
That's all.
Okay.
So part of going, paragraph by paragraph through this right now is you put together exactly what you want, lessons learned, things like that. And then, whoever is awarded the contract is no matter how stringent or how loose the contract is, we have to hold them to that. So, I mean, it's in the contract, but if there's aren't checks and balances, then
That should protect.
that's,
It's in the
yeah,
contract, I think.
that's us. So-
Just wanted to play the devil's advocate. Make it clear to
So-
everybody.
The last time we stopped, we ended it here at turf maintenance. So I don't know if you want to do the same thing that we did before, Mark, and just kind of go paragraph by paragraph. There's quite a few pages in here. So,
Yeah.
It is appropriate to renegotiate if you are renewing a contract or if services outside of a contract are wanted. That's the only time, not during an RFP. That's it, sorry.
your question,
Are we gonna be able to finish?
I think you're going to need another meeting, truth be told, unless, well, how long do we have here?
We have an hour and 15 minutes.
Okay,
How fast you can read. We could continue the meeting to a time and date certain, next week and then, just have this have the sole thing continue.
You can power through.
Okay, that's.
How fast do you read? Is this big enough for everybody? I need to make it a little bit bigger. Does that help?
All this is the same as we have now, or so
Yeah.
the only you really gotta look at what's new. Unless there's
Well,
something
the main question is 42 services. Is that sufficient?
that's historic.
Yes.
It's been fine in the past. We haven't had any issues with that.
Well, I just have an standing water. I think we should put in if mowers the weight of the mowers cannot handle the area in question, they should weed whack the area. That's what resolved the area on the berm on Prado recently. It was major water standings with grass was above my knees, no exaggeration, with the length of approximately 5 homes. And I stood there and made them go
Doesn't
back
have time to say that right now.
and see that.
Swale areas must be mowed
Be addressed.
if mowing's not possible. Now, this is all, yeah, but it's height of, so they don't have to do it until 12 inches. Yeah.
Well, this isn't that long, really.
Okay, so Bruce's question, I believe.
Is answered.
Okay.
Let me just show everybody what the length of the grass was that hadn't been touched in months
Mhm.
because of the rain. They use the excuse. You think that's high enough? That's ridiculous. It's plain English. Sorry, but
Yeah.
I mean, if I hadn't been there, it would have went another week or two. Yeah.
Good with that paragraph? Okay. Bahia,
That's all standard.
good with the mowing?
Yep.
Okay, so we'll move to edging.
Edging, I don't think we really have an issue with. Okay,
I'm gonna keep scrolling unless anybody opposes.
Here's a question. When it says all paved areas, mulch beds, et cetera, will be free of clippings, palm fronds, what's the frequency? I mean, you can't expect, oh, a palm frond fell down, they should be out here immediately, but they shouldn't sit there for weeks also.
I mean, hold on, I lost us.
So
For the next cycle, mowing cycle.
Hmm.
And we get-
yeah, I would like something,
I think it, where the hell we go?
So every,
because I know that is an issue at this point where things sit there for weeks until you put in the ticket.
No. Where the heck did we go? I'm sorry, guys.
It was on etching. We were on it.
There we go. Oh, son of a gun.
It was below that, right? Mark? Yeah, up the first. There. That's where we're at. Just second.
After work is completed. So how we've treated this on the Gateway side is that you have 42 services, and every service, all of these items should be completed.
Okay.
Are you okay with that?
I would be okay with that if we did it.
You gotta hold them accountable to it, that's right.
Reading?
Reading. And again, this is something we need to hold them accountable to because it's not being done. It's funded.
I agree.
All right.
Moving on. Anything in green was something that we pulled over from the new contract that we just did with Gateway. So I really need you guys to look at that and make sure that you're okay with that. Or we can take it out. It's totally up to you.
That's safety. So I think you have to leave it in.
The height, the minimum height, wasn't it originally 8, or was it always 10 feet? It's-
I'm fine with what you've got there because that, again, that's just safety and security as
Okay.
far as visual.
Here, slow and start. Okay. 10 feet, we just talked about. Okay.
The 10 feet minimum height, again, that's something that needs to be enforced. I walked the sidewalk yesterday. We don't have it at this point.
Bougainvillea. Do you have these over here, Muley, Florida Gamma? Okay.
Yep.
We good? We good with this?
Those are the pink ones, right?
Ah, okay.
District's project. Sorry, this is Susan. We doesn't.
So the designee would be Mark in this case, in case. Yeah.
Variety's not a problem.
Okay. Do you have
We do have some variegated ginger now.
Okay.
It's doing well.
This is another one that
Yeah,
is an
that,
enforcement issue.
yeah, that's another enforcement thing because they do not do that at this time. There are areas where it grows over the sidewalk until you put in a ticket, then they turn it back. So it's another enforcement issue on.
I see palmetto within the finished landscape shall be trimmed twice, 2 times a year. Are you good with that?
I don't even know if we have it.
You're going on those.
Anyway,
So and then this next one, we've had to actually exercise this on the Gateway side a handful of times where minor pruning of these up to 4-inch diameter, height of 15. So I don't know if you have that on your side, so.
May I ask, this is Susan, what is the process for addressing these? Do you meet with the
Put in your
contractor?
ticket.
So say that it's a resident, I do the same.
Yep, you put in a ticket there, and area of concern is the GCDB on your ticket.
Mhm.
And there, and we get a weekly report as to how they're doing.
Okay.
And that's what talking about earlier with Sherry about splitting the community into sections. That way you'll have that way not everybody's putting in the same ticket over the same issue. Yeah.
So everyone on.
Anybody, any resident,
Oh.
good. Obviously, we need to take the lead on it since we're
Well, I'm
managing.
just not sure the residents would know like what.
No, and I'm not expecting them to.
Yeah.
But occasionally I get a phone call, hey, the bush is growing over the sidewalk, can you do something about it? I've submitted to the state, but.
Okay.
I
Cool.
wondered if there
But
was
anybody.
a monthly we have like the, okay.
Quality of the plant material, Florida grades and standards, 1 or better. Turf origin, quality material. And nothing's changed on this.
No,
one. Good. All right, this is something that you guys need to review.
I mean, no problems with the quality of sod that they put down.
Okay.
Bruce did have a problem where they were trying to use pieces in one area as opposed to.
I think there again, it was
Yep.
administration.
Yep.
The
So
contract read,
again, it's administering the
Okay.
contract, we had no problem
All
with
right.
what was written.
Keep going. Okay, so this was new. I don't know that we have
Yeah.
this in yours. So just the sugar cane, we wanted to address it and how they handle it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
don't know yet.
Go ahead, Dylan.
kind of like the Emerald dashboard, though.
So
Just wait.
So you'll notice in here on the gateway side, so we broke apart the greater gateway side into zones. Ideally, I would like, once you guys have your zone map, is to incorporate that zone map in here. That way we're continuing, and regardless of the person, we've established these set zones, we're moving forward.
Okay.
Okay, so now we're moving to ground cover and shrub maintenance. Again, nothing's changed on this part.
This is all just enforcement. It's all there. We just need to be better about holding them to it. Okay.
Keep going. Again, nothing's changed on this one. The grassy,
Sorry, Derek. Yeah,
woody ground covers.
and just so you know, this is not being enforced either. I don't know that I really want to, but the junipers are allowed to exceed 24 inches. But you start trimming those down and it gets really ugly. So as long as they aren't an issue with what they're planted in front, you kind of let them go.
So do you want to keep that to the
Yep,
24?
just-
Okay,
It can be in there, but again,
Okay.
to try and enforce that would not be the best.
okay. This next one is that these should be completed once a quarter of the ornamental grasses. Is that any that you have in the community?
But what
You want to do?
they're doing is fine.
Okay. Covers and shrubs. 8 foot. Here's where I think what you said earlier, Bruce, the 8 foot vertical clearance for ground cover and shrubs. We can make this consistent and put this to 10. Or
I always thought that was an issue with the landscapers not being able to get to 10 feet where they could do 8.
oh, well, I mean, we can leave it at 8.
I thought
That is short term.
it's a fact. It's a fact.
Disease and pest control.
That has not been a problem for us. But again, Javier took the lead on most of that. So far, Fabian has done fine, but that would be something that we have to try and kind of watch for when we do the zones. So if you do your inspection and you have a question, either contact me or go ahead and contact Ameriscape and ask them to check it out.
So again, oh, sorry.
Since Mark brought that up, I think anything on the contract that has to do with plants, I think we should funnel as a group through Mark. At least I feel more comfortable for myself because I don't have the expertise.
And that's a good idea. Case in point, the bougainvilleas in the median, and I haven't looked at them since I've been back. I know they don't look good, but they go through these cycles. I don't know what's dead and what's not at this point. Frequently, I get a lot of complaints that all these bougainvilleas are dead. We need to rip them out immediately and get them replaced, et cetera, et cetera. And then a month later, they're in full flower and, oh, those are so wonderful. You do such a, I mean,
If you don't mind, I think we should just use your expertise
well,
on that.
and Ameriscape can look at them too. Vince obviously knows plants. He can look at them too and tell you if it's healthy or not. So.
All
I
right.
have a question about this season with the chemical applications. Is that this committee's responsibility, what is applied, what the chemicals are and who's on it, it's dictated in there?
Yep.
Okay.
I just want to point out this last part, they're responsible for dead carcasses up to 50 pounds. I don't know that we've had any, but if,
There's only been one.
pig picking. Ant control, we talked about this.
Yes.
You want to expand on it?
My concern on this was when it became an issue in one area, I said, it's in the contract, put down the insecticide. And they said, well, that insecticide really doesn't take care of the problem. You have to use this, which is not in the contract, and you have to pay extra for that. So,
This last yellow highlighted, which I've got here, is what came of that
Correct.
meeting.
correct. And top choice is what supposedly actually takes care of it. And I would like that in the contract as opposed to
All right.
an ineffective.
So we'll keep this in if everybody's in agreement, and we'll clean up the language a little bit.
Yes.
Make it clean. Okay, perfect.
This is Sherry. I have a question. So recently on our Facebook page, they mentioned that a lot of wild hogs are in the Pelican Preserve.
Hogs.
And hogs, yes. And they start digging up the grass and everything. Is that something that is in the contract to repair, or I'm just trying to educate myself on that.
Primarily a golf course problem rather than.
I'm sorry.
It's historically.
Bob is saying that it's primarily a golf course problem and not necessarily a district problem, but what we can do is we can make sure that the rooting from hogs, any ground disturbance is covered in here.
Well,
Okay.
I don't know that I would expect a contractor to leave them open to that. I don't have a problem leaving that outside the contract, and if we run into the problem.
Maybe we can put it in the supplemental pricing, add it in there, because that way it's not part of the main contract.
I don't want it in the main contract
Yeah.
because.
And I've
that
never
is not
seen that. I've seen that in a lot of people.
My neighborhood.
Well,
I do know we had a hog problem back on Aviano, and it tore up the backyard of the resident. So it wasn't in our responsibility as an HOA, but again, I don't know where it lies in Gateway and our committee.
Historically in Pelican, it's been a golf course or individual HOA issues such as tearing up a backyard. It hasn't been a GSCDD
If
issue.
you're on the conservation area, that might have.
Okay, we'll address that later in supplemental pricing.
Well, the example was when we had the
Thank you.
parking issue
Mhm.
where the club had some events and they overflow and they were parking along Pelican and they damaged the lawn. I think we sat down or somebody did with the club and they said in the future, they would be responsible for that damage. So I guess it runs.
It wasn't hogs, it wasn't wild pigs.
And hogs, right.
I don't want to put the wild pig in the main part of the contract. We can put it in the supplemental.
Okay.
May I ask a question? Is there, I'm new to Florida as a resident. The wild hog thing is kind of, news to me. Is there something that's done to try to
Deter
move them off?
Well, they travel.
Or,
They're trapped.
They all travel. Golf course. But mainly they try to get rid of the grubs. Correct.
Gotcha.
So to keep the grubs on it.
Have
But
you
even
ever-
with,
have you ever seen one?
oh my God,
Well, I used to hike a lot out west and they are to be feared in the,
I'm just.
in the backcountry.
So this next one, materials list, basically all insecticides, fungicides, and herbicides, that chemical list is to be provided to Mark. Chemicals used, EPA.
Again, this is all standard.
it's boilerplate.
Okay, miscellaneous responsibilities. Take a second to skim that.
Again, Ameriscape has been pretty good in the past about identifying issues. But as we get our zones, I would hope that we would be more proactive in finding.
Nothing changed on this one.
No,
Are they gonna be responsible for repairing the covers
That's
and
it.
the sprinkler heads with the
We've-
damage?
we've already given that.
Good,
Yeah. That's further.
That's in the works.
Application.
But I'm sorry, when you say, are they gonna be responsible? That I don't know that we've addressed. If we put it in there where, if we can identify who did it, that's the key.
And I think that goes back to you having your zones and monitoring. I mean, yeah, we can say they're the only ones out there mowing, but it's hard. I mean, they can rebut and it's,
If the lid was good on Tuesday, cut on Wednesday, Saturday, Thursday.
That's up to the zone maintenance, and I would try and hold them responsible for that. I don't know who else is driving out there besides them,
Nobody.
but they will push back, I'm sure.
let me just add a note in here for me so I can go back later and talk and make sure that the irrigation lids.
We have let the boxes, the lids, everything should be, it's in place.
It is, okay.
So.
I'm just gonna pull it so I can double check.
Everything should be good, so if we start noticing damage.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the water valve.
Just make a note. Come on. Make a
We're
note.
replacing more boxes than our lids, actually.
All right, methods of application. Again, nothing's changed.
That's all standard.
Um, right. Applications of fertilizer. Need you all to review this.
Question regarding fertilizing, can that be done quarterly?
Well, you can't do it May through September.
March, October? No, yeah, correct.
So there's a block in there. It's actually illegal to fertilize this.
That's why I think we put these two months.
So what you will see is usually right before the rainy season starts, they do a mass fertilization to get that in to try and get through. Well, it's a phosphate issue. They're concerned about all the water in the runoff.
So yeah, and then we have we have the county ordinance. We have to pull what the city ordinance is. So I need to make sure that I'm sure they have the same site city ordinance. Ooh, I butchered ordinance, didn't I? Yeah, because we have to tell them that they have to abide by that. All right. So this next section is once the contract's been awarded, these are all the things that they're required to submit to the district. So an initial plan, pest and spray program, plant materials, fungus, all the chemicals within the project limit, records must be kept at all applications every time that they spray, and then the safety data sheets. So all of these things are required for the spraying component of this.
Yep.
So
This is all boilerplate.
Yep, and then we just have this simple little form to make it easy for them of things that they need to complete and fill out, timing, you see everything, quantity. Next, we move to mulching. So we have organic and non-organic mulch. And then this goes back to, you want to take a second to read?
This time we do not use non-organic mulch
Okay,
or either pine straw or nothing.
do we want to take that out?
It can stay.
Okay,
There, never mind. I
Doesn't-
don't even want to get into a discussion at this point. Just leave it in.
all right. So 2 inches non-compacted layer of mulch twice a year. Are these the months that you want? October and April,
Actually, it's going to be.
Bless you. November? November, and
Yeah, finished by.
Oh,
for
you're good with that?
November 30th.
Yeah,
Oh my goodness. Unlock. And April,
yeah, I'm good with that.
bless you. All right. 6 inches away from trunk of the tree or palm, piled against any plant, branches or trunks. Good.
Yeah. Right.
Don't cover any valves, junction boxes. Neglected or bare shall be replaced at the contractor's expense.
In addition to valve junction box, also rain spout irrigation things. They'll mulch right into them in the lawns. For homes that are on ponds, there are irrigation beds from downspout. They've got boxes.
Is that covered under other structures and components? Or do you want to call it out?
I think you're better off calling it out.
What do you call it? Irrigation?
Downspout irrigation. It's
Those in our area.
Or the back of the
well,
pond?
they're between the homes, and they go all the way to the back.
Yeah, no, but are they,
You're right, it's probably not for us.
not for us.
All right, so take it out.
Yeah.
Okay,
What about the mulching of the monuments?
That's part of this.
part of this whole conversation is we want to put together a layer for your landscaping of mulch areas. So we want to be able to identify that and quantify it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right, miscellaneous landscape responsibilities. If you want to skim this. I think this covers your issue earlier, Bruce, that you mentioned.
So not just the plants, but to preserve the cleanliness of the roadways where they stage.
Good with that? Okay. And then again, this goes back to Nancy's point, additional items may be added to the contract purchase order. Negotiate that out of contract stuff. Have a single point with cell phone, email, on-site communication with Mark. They have to provide landscape and irrigation schedules.
Actually, finally did.
Okay.
Only took 3 years.
All right. Severe weather and hurricane debris cleanup. I think we had a pretty good
Yep.
response at the last go around.
Everything went fine.
Just gotta get the city to.
Yeah, I saw the trucks down at Bridgetown on my way up. So this next one, I don't think you guys had this in your last contract, but this is, swale reclamation. So any swales that have a lot of, I'm drawing a blank right now, have basically filled in over time. This would give them the opportunity to go out and dig them out, clean them out, and then regrade them. And so this is not in your current contract. This is something we added to our contract because we know we have a lot of swales on the Greater Gateway side that we need to reclaim.
We haven't.
Yeah, but most of them on the golf course side and golfing.
Okay.
And these are the big 2x3 iron grate.
This is a ditch. A swale is a ditch.
Right,
Yeah.
they have,
Yeah.
It's half the size.
I don't think it's a big issue for us. You can leave it in there,
Okay.
but I don't
Right.
think it's an issue for us.
All right. Here's the plant material replacement incidentals. So this again, repeating what we said above.
That's fine.
Okay. This, again, goes back to enforcement.
Yeah.
Okay. Dead plant, again, this section hasn't changed. nuisance and exotic volunteer trees or shrubs from hedges.
Again, that's huge enforcement. They don't do it.
All right.
All new plant material except sod guaranteed 90 days. Then we used to get we used to
You
get
ha-
a year one.
Down here, so we can, let me zoom out. So- Oh, come on, computer. So trees and palms have your 1 year, which is down here. This is everything else.
Oh, so bushes are 90 days?
Unless, I mean, if you want to change it, we can change it.
They've honored a year warranty on that. Right.
Okay. You want to put 1 year? We can
Yeah.
change it 1 year.
Yeah.
365.
Because they can get anything to limp along for 90 days.
Actually, let's just put
Just
Four.
wait, it'll be fine. Oh, it died.
It needs changed down below on the green too.
Can we pause for just a second? I have a question. As long as we're on warranty. So we have some bushes that are dead that we
Oh.
planted not that long ago. Do they just play the hurricane trump card and say, we didn't do it, it was an act of God? And
What did they look like before then?
there were some that are hurricane. I'm not saying there aren't, but that's where you get the gray area. There were some that weren't good at all before the hurricane. They're just dead. And I don't think the hurricane made the difference. But do we really have much recourse since the hurricane hit? And obviously,
Well, hopefully, from the zones this time.
okay, so going forward,
There'll be a record.
all right. And as long as we're talking, the hurricane did damage to bushes, we will see browning. They should come back. You got to be patient with these things. And some people are, oh my God, you need to water more. No, you don't. Just be patient. This is Florida. Most things will grow.
I'm just going to add this language in at the end. The warranty period shall commence upon the end of installation period and approved by the district's lead. They could say, oh, we're done, but if it's not to your satisfaction,
And we have done that in the past.
I'm going to delete all of this because we covered this above.
And that would be somebody who's taking these zones. If we do a project in your area, you got to watch the project and make sure they've done what they were supposed to. If you don't think they have, call me and I'll come out and we'll look at it. And then there's times that I have called them back and say, no, this isn't what you're supposed to do. So, okay.
And you gotta stress to these leads that when there's a project, then they don't get paid until the lead.
And that's the key point. We just don't sign off on
Control the
payment
person,
until we're
control the
satisfied.
So one of the issues we had on the Gateway side with the last go around is like everybody wants red annuals at Christmas time. Well, last time we were told that their supplier didn't have reds. So what we did in our new contract was we put the specific colors that we want at the specific months. So that's what I suggest that you all do. So you, as of right now, you have you do annuals 3 times a year. Are these months accurate? And
Four,
we,
three should be adequate. You should be able to get 4 months out of it.
and are these the months that you want them done?
November is good. I mean,
I'm zooming out because there's a note here, I think.
those are almost the months you have,
You have to do it.
obviously when you key on one, which November is the key one, you get all the people coming back, you get the big
Right.
splash.
What colors? Do you want to put colors in here? I suggest you put,
You want red for November. Okay, the other ones, I've kind of let them air skate. And I've been pretty happy. The only time that they did anything that upset people was they put in coleus and coleus did too well, so it was covering up signs. And I think people were lost because they couldn't read the signs where they lived. Anyway, I'm okay with leaving the other two
To be determined by
determined
vendor, by contractor.
And again, we haven't had an issue with them picking inappropriate.
I think Sherry's trying to say something. Go ahead, Sherry.
I have really a problem with this. The last couple times they put in plants in the wrong sequence. So when they grew, the ones in the back were shorter than the ones in the top.
Yep.
I think the recent ones that I don't know if they're still there. I think they're too dark. I don't think they're light and bright. So I would suggest that it would be at the recommendation of the committee to put in the plants. And in my PowerPoint presentation, it does say that everyone has a special like project type thing. And one of them would be one of the committee members would work with the vendor to propose a plant list for the year. I think we should have more oversight on it than just giving it totally to the vendor. That's just my,
We just put in the contract approved by the committee.
No, I'd rather not. I'd rather you put it now because they're
No,
gonna
no, I'm
price it.
saying, can we put that in the contract?
What?
Just complete, right? You got it.
Yeah.
Just what you did.
Okay.
No, that's it. That should take care of
thank you.
This hasn't changed from the last go around.
Okay.
The spacing from core to core is 1 foot. Now, one of the issues that I've had on the gateway side is it doesn't say that they're required to bring in topsoil, clean new topsoil to make these beds. What I've seen is they just rake what is there. Do you want Ameriscape to bring in topsoil? Because we've been hit for an additional charge for clean.
I would prefer not to bring in more soil. They're getting pounded so high now that
Okay.
you're building. And quite truthfully, what's there is adequate if you dig into it. It's
Okay.
fine.
All right.
And what they're doing is watering and fertilizing the crap out of them to get them to grow. And that's fine. After 4 months, they die and put in new ones. So I don't want to go the topsoil and just keep adding to it.
Okay.
It already gets higher from the mulch.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. 72 hours removal before the weekend as open beds. Again, we're still talking about annuals. If they've declined, died, or failed, they have to replace them at the designee of Mark. All right. Moving on to tree maintenance. Again, nothing has changed in this.
The maintenance part's all fine. We just need to enforce.
Okay. We've got the hardwood canopy trees and the specifications. Again, nothing's changed here. Well, again,
I walk down the sidewalk with hand.
One thing I've noticed is that they don't seem to be trimming adequately around the streetlights. Yeah, I don't know if the 10 foot is. I just go to a lot of the oak trees have grown into the streetlights
Around the lake, right?
around the lights, so that you're not getting.
Again,
I don't know if we don't really want to deal with it now if we start changing location.
yeah, true. That could be a consideration for that.
It'll be an issue when it's fine.
All right. Again, still canopy, flowering trees.
Yeah.
Crepe myrtles. There's a comment here. What's the comment? Do you have crepe myrtles here?
yes.
Okay. All right. So then,
Not a lot. But... Oh, no. And that's the problem. That's why I don't like putting them in. Beautiful plant, but you have to prune it right, and they don't.
all right, debris removal. I think we covered that elsewhere.
All right.
Safety compliance. This, again, we're still under tree maintenance,
Yep.
so keep that in mind. They have to have a supervisor, communicate with Mark. All right, moving on to irrigation systems maintenance.
I actually think they're doing better on this. The more we stay on top of them, I think better it will be.
So here's the detailed zone map. Oops. Again, nothing's changed here.
We want to put that sprinklers in that as part of GIS, when it's received. Not their
The map that I
responsibility.
received from Ameriscape was less than expected. But it's not the district asset, is what I'm told. So community association can fight that fight.
Yeah, they're the.
All right. We specified the Toro system. I told them where it's at. Here's what weekly running properly.
There's a lot of things. In here. That's all community association. Yeah, so there's a lot of, when these contracts are put out, there's a lot of duplication.
Mhm.
I think we gotta start separating those things out, and some of the responsibilities that are listed here are actual community association responsibilities, the pump house, the main line, the central controller,
Mhm.
and so.
So just to touch on that, I know the community association has said the irrigation system is theirs, and the homework that I did on reviewing all of the conveyance documents from the developer only addressed like sprinkler systems conveyed to the district. So really, and that definition of what a sprinkler system is up for interpretation. But nowhere did I personally find where any of the mains were conveyed to the district. I know the HOA has said it's theirs. I have not personally seen any documentation saying the developer conveyed trunk lines over to the HOA. I'm just going to leave it at that. I know that they have a whole committee that they're trying to delve into and figure out. So to Ed's point, perhaps
Leave it like it is to a young.
that's what I was kind of leading to. So that way, if it does in a year and a half from now end up being, the district's, somebody found a document, we're still covered in this contract. Right? Wet check end of month report. This has been an issue no matter which side of Ameriscape or Mainscape. So again, this goes back to enforcement, but getting these wet checks has been, again, it goes back to enforcement of the contract. Anybody have any issues with the yellow? Okay, there's a note here. Let me just see what it says. Need your input.
This is Sherry again. Do we have something in there if they do not do the wet checks for their schedule in the contract? Is there anything like monetary?
A reduction.
Yes.
I mean, we can to say if the wet check, it's totally up to you all. I mean, if they're not I think we covered this later on in the contract where we kind of did a 3-strike system.
Yeah.
And if they're not meeting, you address it there.
I'm
Okay.
sorry. I haven't had a chance to look at the contract since I've been up here.
Yeah,
So
no problem.
these are just coming out of my head. So thanks.
It's okay. Is the monthly basis sufficient for this? What are we on this section? Okay, moving on. Again, a lot of this is detailed irrigation stuff. Nothing's changed. Yep. Let's see. Did we have a note here? What's Nathan say? A visual inspection of irrigation performed weekly to determine if systems are functioning normally. So they're supposed to be doing visual inspections weekly. That's done is again an enforcement. The valve boxes, like Bob was saying earlier. Wet dries and plant decline. None of this has changed again.
Okay.
Moving. All right, minor irrigation repairs. We just, again, nothing's changed. Just edited.
That was a good addition.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree. Additional repair costs. So we put that they have 3 business days for irrigation, additional irrigation repair costs. Is that sufficient? 3 days?
Yep.
Okay.
That business days or?
Said business.
Business. So go ahead.
So back to your earlier discussion, stuck valves, broken main lines, those are actually HOAs now.
Well, it depends on if you're in New Pelican. Depends
Oh.
on, because the gateway has some irrigation lines over there.
Every rule has its exception.
All right, this goes back to their responsiveness. I think Bruce, you and I had a good interaction with them on an emergency break. No, was it you and me? Yeah. Utilities, and that, yep, and that's why it says email customer care. So then that way they would communicate via customer care to the district. We've had really, really good communication with this vendor. So, again, nothing's changed on that. Did we add, is this where, Ed, you said we added the box, the lids?
Oh, it's the mic, it's definitely the mic.
Oh, okay. Minor, it might be further down. Okay. This next part, crew size and operations.
That's-
And then they have to provide an after hours irrigation emergency number.
Yeah.
And then, all right, I'm scrolling. Oh, too far. All right. Let me just go back and make sure that's in there. Additional. Minor.
Last one. Yeah,
There we go. Boom.
Okay.
All right.
any valve box doing and the lid that are damaged, they will take who be covered in the contract.
Under the new.
That's today, that's in the existing contract.
I think that's, let me just skim because anything I had in green, so this next part, we're just trying to figure out the number of your committee members because it's been fluctuating. It'll be 100 points per committee member. We'll have a schedule. I'm just skimming through so you guys can see. So this is what your worksheet's going to look like when it comes through. We need to sit and just make sure this is what you would be grading them on. And if the weighted points are what you want. Sorry, I'm trying to zoom in so everybody can see. So machinery, equipment, and manpower. We've rated that at 25 points. So again, these are the questions that once you get these proposals in, you're going to read through and say, okay, again, this is very subjective, but you'll be able to answer this question. So is that machinery, equipment, manpower, is that good, or do you want to change it? And is that weight good?
I'd like to see pricing.
My opinion, a lot of this, we are not really going to know. I mean, assuming we get the same bidders, it's gonna be hopefully Ameriscape, Mainscape, maybe Brightview, somebody like that.
Juniper, Juniper, there's some other big names.
Anyway, they're all gonna be established. They all have expertise. I mean, most of those boxes, you're gonna click the same based on what you know. So it's gonna come down to, from our end, I think, pricing. What I tell people when they ask for a recommendation on a contractor, they're all hiring from the same labor pool. Whether or not you feel comfortable with how they respond to not following the contract or issues as to where they can differentiate.
They all have to have machinery equipment, and they all have to have technical expertise.
Right.
After that's running, that's pretty subjective.
So how do you guys want to
I
rate?
would like pricing at 50%
Okay.
from our standpoint.
All right. So then references. What would be your second highest thing that you would want to rank? Qualification, does have technical experience in similar size projects, experience with the CDD, commercial properties, or public agencies. You want that one to be second highest, and what would you like that ranked at?
20.
So we're at 70. So
And
you guys good with that?
Yep.
Yep.
And is my mathing? 30, 40.
You got
Again, after going through, I've been through this once before. These people hire from the same labor pool. They all have basically the same expertise. They're all gonna give you decent references, because I did reference checks. What comes down to is what's the price? And if you enforce that contract, do we think they're gonna respond? And where you get companies that differentiate themselves, and I'm not trying to sway anything, but Ameriscape has the ticket system, so that's how you deal with issues. That's much easier than trying to call somebody and make a note, et cetera. So how do they handle issues that come up?
Well, and you'll see in their proposals how they set, how
Right.
they believe they set themselves apart.
Right.
So with this, so you'll have to fill this form out for each proposal that you get. And then Randy will compile them. You will not have to do any reference checks. Staff will do that because as part of this, they're required to provide an email for their references. So we just do one big email blast and say, hey, da 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 da. So
question. So, for example, and just came top of my head, we use a small vendor on some of the monuments that I know, a seller, that somebody select. Think somebody like that comes out of the woodwork in business. I know they are vetted through you guys. They come out of the woodwork. We have no idea how big an operation they have. How do we resolve that?
You don't have to take the load.
Right, no, that I agree with. But how do
You do
we
ask
know
for-
they have the equipment? Or they
Well,
just
That's where the
smoke screen us?
reference checks come in, because if they're not handling any communities at this point.
That's a sign for sure.
well, that would be yours to, and once we do the reference checks, we will give that information out to everybody so you can use that as part of your evaluation. So. All right, moving on. This is just all of our standard contract docs. Now, one of the questions I have to ask you all is, you can require a performance bond. And a performance bond is if the contractor is not meeting those things, you can call on that bond. What we've done on the gateway side is Mainscape told us as part of the bid package that they could not meet that, they could not provide a performance bond. Some dealings with their company. What we ended up doing was a percentage of their total contract. They wrote us a check. We have that in a separate bank account, non-interest bearing, and basically every month, as long as they performed, we cut them a check, a portion of that check back and give it back to them. So that way we have a dollar assurances that they are going to perform the services that they're supposed to provide. If they don't, then we have it laid down here what the process is to remedy those issues. But do you want to require a performance bond?
Have we done it in bad? Have we done it in bad? Have we ever had?
On other projects, yes, but not to my knowledge on landscaping, no.
I'm fine either way.
Okay,
I would like something.
some type of assurance.
Right.
What I would suggest is you require it. I mean, it's over $1 million contract. You require it. If a contractor can't meet it, just like Mainscape couldn't meet it on our side, then we figured out a way to make it happen.
It should.
And we still have a 30-day performance.
Yeah, you still have other things, but it's not we have the money. Yeah.
As long as it doesn't scare legitimate bidders. from bidding.
Yeah. Good leverage.
That's my only concern,
Okay.
because the last time I
I
got
don't think
three
that
bids,
excludes it.
that was it.
Well, and as part of when this goes out to bid, if somebody says that they can't meet it, they'll write in, is this like, do we need this? They have the opportunity to ask those questions. These are all just forms that are required. This is a cover page that they have to submit, just typical stuff. Any addendums that they have to acknowledge the addendums.
This 47 days.
The whole thing is 68 pages, but the actual like meat of it is the scope is small. The contract, we have to tell them what contract that they're going to sign so they can read it in advance. And that the majority of that is this contract and required forms, drug-free workplace. Again, this another form of their contractors' experience, equipment, personnel. They can list that out. A lot of these are forms. now this one, current and future workload, this was really eye-opening on the Gateway side, because if they're swamped or if they have future contracts that they're bidding on and we call references and they're maybe not working out too well, this took into consideration of their current workload and then any future workloads beyond. So
I'm just concerned that requirements are so numbers. It would inhibit them bidding the project.
we didn't have any issues on the Gateway side. So,
How many bids did you get?
well, we only ended up getting one, but we had like six. We still got a bid. We had like 6 people come to the pre-bid meeting. So
Well, how many of the other 5 were turned off by all the requirements is the other question.
none said that the requirements were too stringent. Huh?
I didn't think so.
One was a small company and they were starting up. So this was a bit much for them. Truthfully, I don't know. I'd have to go back. Sorry, I'm just playing here.
From my experience, this Bruce, I've seen firsthand where my HOA's landscaping, which is greenscape and Ameriscape, you could just see there's this honor among thief mentality. Well, I won't step on their toes, okay, I'll step on mine. That's what I think part of the issue is with some of these bigger landscapers. I really do think that, that was established as Ameriscape. We stay away as long as they don't start screwing with my other
The
contract.
last time I think we got a bid from Greenscape and Airscape.
If we get agreed, that's great.
That would be fun.
So statement of litigation, obviously we want to know if they have any active litigation. Again, most of these are just required forms that they have to fill out. Public entity is crime. That's any contract over $35,000 this form has to be executed. That's a state statute. Conflict of interest. E-Verify. I will say when we did the Mainscape contract, that was at the time when that new legislation went into play. The July, where documented immigrants, and there was a lot of folks fleeing the state. So there was a lot of turnover with staff. Subcontractors. I don't know that Ameriscape has any subcontractors, or maybe they do with mulch.
They do for mulching, they do for some of their tree trimming, and actually the annuals are put in by a third party.
So this form, their subcontractors they're verifying on behalf of their subcontractors that everybody's meeting that. And then, like I said, so we're on page 53 of 68, and the next 16 pages are the sample contract that they would have to sign. So really, we're talking a 53-page bid, but most of those are forms. I know, Bob, I know.
That you have all the ones, if you will, missing.
We're working on that.
Okay.
I won't have that in time for this to go out because we need to get this out ASAP with you all. Again, what I'm anticipating this is to be a 3-year contract with 2 1-year renewals. So then hopefully we have a 5-year contract and nothing. And the renewals are not to exceed a certain percentage over.
3%.
Yeah, it's like 3%. So. I believe so. I think there's a. Oh my goodness. I'm not used to typing on my laptop. Actual. So we could request additional information about their financial statement. I will say, you talk about heartburn, about a company willing to give that out. It's like pulling teeth. That's all we have. If you ask for it, we can.
So this
Bidders-
is I had reached out to a couple vendors and they had a real heartburn about that,
I mean, you're,
about offering their financial statements. They feel that it's,
well, part of the problem is we're a governmental entity and any
Correct.
document that we hold is public record. So if
Yes.
somebody found out that we requested that of Juniper and
Yep.
then Ameriscape asks for that public record, we're obligated to provide that.
and that is
So
correct.
that's why there's heartburn.
Because yeah, correct. So I could see both sides of it, but I think we'll get more if we don't ask for it. Is it something by the Florida statutes we have to offer or
No.
ask contract?
No. I'm sorry, what?
Sorry. Just asking, are most of the companies you found in your experience that respond public or private?
Private companies?
Most of them are-
They only go up.
Yeah. okay.
No.
Are we almost?
Yeah, so that,
Today?
yeah, I think we're pretty much done. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go back, I'm gonna have staff clean this up, put together the actual dates. One of the things that we'll have to do is I'll have Randy reach out with a tentative date for your selection advisory committee meeting. And again, that'll be over at the boardroom. We'll have to make sure that gets on everybody's calendars. Considering the holidays, the only other question I really have for you all is we're obligated to put this out for 30 days. Do you want to put it out for more than 30 days to give bidders the opportunity to bid on it? 45 days.
Because of the.
No, we wouldn't count the holidays anyway, but just
Yeah.
time.
As long as we can meet your requirements, yeah,
Okay.
that's fine.
So I'll have Randy put together a tentative timeline, and when he reaches out with the date for the selection advisor, I call it SAC, Selection Advisor Committee, for the SAC meeting, we'll send that out to you all. And then my plan is to, as soon as we can get this out on the street, we want to try to get it out as soon as possible. So you have how many active members right now? 7. Are you you're fully? Okay. So then we'll have 7 members, a staff member, and then somebody from the community association. So we'll have 9 committee members. Are we good with that?
That'll probably be huge.
He may be voluntold again. Okay.
Fill in your idle time.
That's all I have for this item, and go back to the agenda.
What is our next meeting date? It's in November, but we changed it.
Change to the holidays.
And that was one of my questions. What was the date?
Hold on. I can go to that. Oh, I don't have access to that here. Let me go to the previous board agenda.
I think we skipped December.
We skipped December,
that I-
and we changed the normal date for November.
Hold on. Oh, I can do this. Hold on, I'll tell you. Go to the board book, because it had the oh, did she tell him?
If you can just get that to us, because I need to follow up.
Yes.
I think we showed November 21, but those.
Hold on, I got it right here. You are landscape. You double asterisk. It was
11/22. Right. But that's it.
That sounds right.
Was it 22nd?
yeah.
So Friday instead of.
At 9:00.
You're
And this one will be at the Gateway office?
No,
no.
No,
Okay.
it's still.
hopefully here. I need to get the meeting.
The next meeting.
Regular one.
In, City Waterston, I have one thing I want to talk about.
That's fine.
The Christmas lights. They're gonna be coming next week to install the lighting. And then they'll come back in November and do all the greenery. So if you don't see the greenery right away, they have
Don't
to
freak.
delay. Yeah,
I was gonna put it out on Facebook.
I figured you would. Something. So I'm gonna go around personally with them and make sure it's all done. Mhm.
I just had a question about you made a comment, Mark, about getting calls about the the stress that the plantings are under. Is there communication that goes out to residents that like explain it so that they aren't so alarmed by?
For one thing, we do not have the ability to set up communication for all of our residents. All of that goes through the PPCA and must be approved by the PPCA.
Is there calling regular?
We do have the ability to request information to be published.
I'm sure if you want to get a special communication out, I can get it done for you. Pretty sure.
Well, I just thought it might help you avoid getting, calls or submissions to.
It all goes on Facebook.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay.
Is that something that we want to do?
To tell them about the hurricane.
Well,
Well,
The map.
just basically relax a little bit.
Yeah.
We're working.
because there are a lot of, you're right, I've noticed too, but I know that it's.
What I can do is I'll write something up and I assume it needs to go through
Randy.
your office.
Randy, yep.
And then once Randy has looked at it, then we'll get it to Jim.
Then we'll delay it 3 months.
Sorry,
It'll be out in August.
chalk it up to me.
So do you want to put something out about the Christmas lighting in the green? I think that's to let everybody know.
Would you like to just write something up?
Sure.
Send it to Randy Paniagua.
Okay.
He'll what I do is I give him the meat and I say, pretty it up. And then he pretties it up
Doing a good job.
and he sends it to Yannabelle and then Yannabelle disseminates it. No.
No.
You cannot communicate outside of the meeting. He'll see it when he gets the notification.
How does it get sent out to the community?
Yannabelle provides it. I don't know her means or
Just
methods of how
regular
she does
email
it.
blast, blast.
Oh, it's a
Hey, we're
blast
having
by
a
gateway,
at the
though.
theater.
Gotcha.
I just want to real quick, I know we're going on time. I just want to show you all. So I know we've got some new folks, but if you go to our district website, and you scroll down, this is our agenda dashboard of all of our committees and everything. If you want to sign up for these notifications, see this little email box? It says to sign up for email updates or access your subscriber. You can put in your personal email address. You can put in your mom's, your dad's, your cousins, your brothers. Anytime we push out an agenda or an agenda packet, if you are signed up, you will get a copy of it. You will get notified. Highly recommend. So again, that's just on our main page. We got quite a few new folks coming around. So I just wanted, Georgia asked me to go over that. And then also, when Georgia sends out meeting invites, if you could just accept them, that's our way of knowing if basically we're going to have quorum or not, or if you're not going to be there, decline her invite. That really helps us gauge if we need to cancel the meeting instead of, packing up everything and coming over, or if we need to move it, etc. So,
I don't think I got one, so I might just.
okay. All right. That's all I
So
had.
this is Sherry. I have a question on the acceptance of the meeting invitation. If you accept it, it really doesn't mean whether you're going to be there in person or whether you're going to be off-site. So I would suggest maybe also mentioning in there, I will be off-site or I will be in person to help her regulate whether we have a quorum or not.
I'm more concerned if you're going to be virtual. If you accept it, I'm assuming you're going to be here in person. If you're not going to be here in person, communicate and notify Georgia saying virtual.
Okay,
Because we have to have a physical meeting quorum.
correct.
Thanks for that, Sherry.
I accepted it and,
Yeah.
but I did last month tell you I was going to be gone. So, okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Anybody? Good job getting through the contract.
Yes.
Save us all a meeting.
The whole process is so much better than it was a year ago. It's functioning very well, getting things done.
We have one item for the next agenda, which will be defining the zones. If you do have anything else, Kelsey said, it has to be submitted at least a week before the meeting.
I'm gonna bring F and G back. F is the staining. The color
Oh,
staining.
okay.
F and we'll get that for your next meeting.
And this is Sherry. I'll be bringing the proposal for the monument by the front gate,
No, I know what
For-
you're saying.
gaping,
That's fine.
and get that in a week ahead of time.
Perfect.
And this is Cindy. Will we definitely know it's 9 o'clock or will be something soon?
Assume it's 9 o'clock unless I can't get the meeting.
I will caveat that the boardroom is always available if you want to venture out of Pelican. I know.
And maybe at the next meeting, we can review the monument schedule. To replace the drip lines.
The drip lines are done.
I mean,
They're about halfway done with the
but that
mag.
has the painting on there, which ones were painted.
And- Here's something that we need to be aware of. If we're putting all the Christmas lights on,
We're
that
not gonna
kind
be
of stops the painting
Yep.
at that point too.
But the other thing is the allocation of the $2,500. Cul-de-sacs. We ought to have it, no, we said we were gonna have a spreadsheet that says what.
I'll work on that.
I don't,
Everybody should have that, see that answer.
All right.
So once we got to the painting of the tile. Well, if you do get some ideas of the color, would we be able to see the color?
I was just gonna tell them to try to match what's out there.
Okay, I just,
That would be,
Bruce, you want to join when Nathan goes and meets the vendors?
I think so.
Okay, perfect. Would love that.
Depends, I'm gonna have knee surgery, so. it's-
Ride your golf cart up. You'll be
I
fine.
don't know.
If I could get back from evolution, but that's another step.
Oh, goodness. Up at the front? Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was done.
Now, that's not saying that the new ones are gonna come in and there's gonna be additional issues that we'll have to resolve. We will, of course, we will address that. I just want to point out, you guys did a lot of great effort. I think you were the one who did a lot of the effort, Cindy, for the Christmas lights. We actually selected on the Gateway side the same vendor.
Yeah.
So- Yeah, yeah. So just
And we
No.
got it. Didn't you get that?
You got it.
Well, I got.
get from Ed, yeah,
Look,
from Gateway Greens. So just evolution of communicating, together and working together and saving, better product at a hopefully lower cost. So thank you for that.
Yeah,
Thanks for your effort.
critical compliments.
All right. I'm gonna tell him you said that.
anything else for you? Can Jim get a copy of the existing Ameriscape contract?
Absolutely. Send, if you want to send, I'll just put it as a follow-up. I've got your email. Jim.
You got my number, don't you?
Yeah.
All right, anybody for anything else?
I promise Daniel will be at your next meeting. He's at district manager training right now. So he'll be back. He's
All
back.
right,
Take a motion to adjourn.
Cindy Watterson, second the motion.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion to adjourn.
Done 5 minutes early. It's a lot.